Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Christopher Daniels, and I'm a solution specialist here at Timextender. Today, we'll be discussing Timextender, which is a holistic metadata-driven solution for data integration. To begin, there are three distinct layers of Timextender. The first up is actually the operational data exchange. The data exchange is where you're able to ingest over 250 data sources that are already pre-built within Timextender, and you are able to ingest and store them into one of your storage accounts, whether it's a data lake, an Azure SQL database, an on-prem SQL database, or an Azure managed instance. The next layer is the modern data warehouse. This is where you're able to clean and transform data and prepare it to be visualized. You are able to use Azure SQL databases, managed instances, dedicated SQL pools, and now Snowflake. That's right, Timextender now has integration with Snowflake. Lastly, we have our semantic models. This is where you're able to prepare your data marts for data visualization. You are able to utilize tools like analysis services, Tabular or Azure, Power BI Premium, Tableau, ClickSense, and CSV. Three distinct features of Timextender. The first being documentation, where you're able to generate documentation through Timextender. The second being data lineage, where you're able to track how a field is created from the ODX all the way through the semantic layer. And then lastly, intelligent execution, where Timextender actually creates managed dependencies and identifies the optimal execution thread for your project. So let's go ahead and jump into the Timextender portal. This is the portal for Timextender. This is where you will actually go and set up your project. First, we'll take a look at our data lake storage. So here is my storage account. In the ODX, you are able to set different storage accounts like a data lake, a SQL database on-prem or in Azure, as well as an Azure managed instance. Moving forward, we will now move on to our modern data warehouse. Here is my development environment. Here, you are able to actually work with Azure SQL database, on-prem SQL databases, Azure SQL managed instance, dedicated SQL pools, and we just now integrated Snowflake. So you can now work with Snowflake with Timextender. That is a huge feature that we're happy to use. And then lastly, we can look at our semantic layer. I actually currently have my tabular endpoint set up, but here you can actually work with tabular analysis services, Power BI Premium, ClickSense, Tableau, and lastly, you can deploy to CSV. So this is how the portal is set up. Next up, we will actually transition and look at our data sources. Here I have two Timextender SQL data sources that are both stored on-prem and also a custom REST API data source. To give a bit of background, today we'll be working with AdventureWorks Cycles. They are a global manufacturing company that has recently acquired a warehouse in Europe. This organization is looking to show the received amount in US dollars so that they can double check that their order amount in US dollars is aligned. Let's see how they can do this with Timextender. So let's go ahead and take a look at Timextender. Here is my Timextender environment. Here are my two distinct layers. First, we'll begin by looking at our operational data exchange, mine being a data lake storage. As you can see, I don't have my third source, so I'll go ahead and add that in. And we'll name it Exchange. And click Next. And we can just go ahead and click Exchange Rate. And we can select all tables into our project, and we'll add in a transfer task as well. We'll just name this Transfer, and we can click Next. We can click Finish. So right now, what is happening is Timextender just ran a synchronization task, which actually went in and read the data at the source. Now, with the transfer task, we will actually have Timextender go in and transfer the data from the source directly into our data lake storage account. That shouldn't take too long, but oh, and there it is. It has completed successfully. So here's my data lake storage account. We can just go ahead and we can refresh it. Let's go ahead and refresh. And there it is. Great. So now that we have our new data, we can go ahead and take a look at our next layer. So let's go ahead and close out of this, and let's take a look at our modern data warehouse. So here is my modern data warehouse. I have my tables, I have views, I have my database schema that I actually pre-built in Timextender itself. And what we're going to want to do here is actually just take a look around. Here, I can actually add in a hierarchy table or a date table. But right now, I actually want to open my purchase transactions table, and I would like to create a new transformation. This transformation will be a received amount US dollars field that we had discussed earlier. This will allow us to cross-check our order amount US dollar field and make sure that we are receiving the exact same amount that we are ordering as well. So what I'm going to want to do is we're going to want to actually just go ahead and add a field, and we'll name this received amount US dollars, and we'll make it a decimal. Okay. The next step is I'll actually go in and do field transformations. I'd come to the right pane and I would add a custom value. And this is one of my favorite areas of Timextender. Here I can actually type in custom SQL. However, I'm going to use Timextender's IntelliSense to identify exactly what fields I want to multiply together. So we're going to do receive quantity times unit price, and we'll click OK. Next up, we have the deploy and execution stage. So we can go ahead and input a version note for version control later. If we wanted to roll back, we can type in creating received amount US dollar, and we can save. Now we are on the deployment stage. This is where Timextender actually identifies any changes in your modern data warehouse, and it actually creates and automates that T-SQL script for creating those changes, for cleaning and transforming your data. This is a fairly quick process. After that completes, we move on to the execution stage. The execution stage is when Timextender is loading the data from our data lake into our relational data warehouse using 8 concurrent data pipelines. These pipelines are auto-generated optimized for the fastest load times while always enforcing object dependencies. And I mean, it's going quickly. You can see now that we have our 8 threads currently on screen, and Timextender is running through it fairly simply. We should be wrapping up shortly. And just about done. And great. Now we can move on to our next step. Now that we have our new field, we can go ahead and open our purchase transaction semantic model. So here I have my semantic model already pre-built, my date dimension, my products table, and my purchase transactions. And then of course my 3 endpoints being Power BI Premium, Tabular Analysis Services, and CSV. So all we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to drag our received amount and drop it onto our purchase transactions table. And we can click OK. We're going to want to hide this field and then add a measure. And we'll name this received amount. It'll be a sum data type. Will be decimal, and we'll change the currency, data format, and make sure it's US dollars, and click OK. Additionally, with Timextender, you're able to actually go in and create custom measures and type in custom DAX as well, as you can see here. We'll click cancel, and we can go ahead and deploy and execute. All right, and we'll name this creation of received quantity, and click save. So now it is writing that script to go ahead and deploy to Power BI Premium and also Analysis Services. After this, it will have a multi-thread execution where it will execute to all of our endpoints, being Analysis Services, CSV, and Power BI Premium. And you can see our multi-threaded execution right here. And great. So we can go ahead and open our Power BI Premium dashboard. We can just click Edit. We can scroll down and we can click refresh. And our new field has shown up. How that field was created, you can just go ahead and go to receive amount in US dollars and click data lineage and it'll populate. But it will show you from start to finish how this field was created. And then lastly, of course, if you want to get documentation for your project, you can just go and click documentation on your modern data warehouse. You can set a default template or you can create your own template if you want. And of course, you can have your company colors and you just click OK. You click save. And your documentation shows up here. And you can actually just go ahead and click through the table of contents and jump to where you want to. And it shows everything that has been created in your project, any changes that have been made. And lastly, of course, it shows your custom transformations. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of these really cool features of Timextender. If you want to get started right away, you can. We now offer a free version that allows anyone to go ahead and get started. You can go to our website and begin downloading and checking it out. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy. Have a good one.